the Pages, by Words and Pictures, located at 2610 Center Street Northeast in Calgary. For all your comic book, anime, toys, and more, stop by Words and Pictures. You'll be glad you did. This episode of Between the Pages is brought to you by Red Skull Comics. Offers the best selection of comics and trade paperbacks in Calgary, with a great selection of manga, games, magic cards, toys, statues, and a whole lot more. Want to be sure your collection is up to date? Then ask the friendly staff about their file services. Need more room for that growing collection? Then ask Red Skull about selling your back issue titles. 18 years and still going strong, Red Skull is the best little comic shop in Western Canada. Visit Red Skull Comics today at 720A Edmonton Trail Northeast in Calgary. Then find them on the web at www.redskull.com and like them on Facebook.
Well, it's another fine Saturday here in Calgary, Alberta. This is our 20th episode. I'm your host, Richard Cleveland, as I am here with each and every Saturday by the man, the myth, the legend, my inimitable co-host, Mr. Jason Bishop.
I want to be invulnerable, too.
You want to be invulnerable?
Yeah.
Okay, you can be invulnerable.
Well, it doesn't work if you just say it.
Can I shoot you and see if you're invulnerable?
I'd rather you didn't.
Oh, okay. So we'll just leave you as the man, the myth, and the legend. How's that? I didn't have anything bad to say about you this week.
I'm so used to you like crushing my ego. You're just kind of building me back up.
I am.
To bring me back
that's
down
right.
again. So.
I get a whole month of building you up, then next month I'll tear you down.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Jerk.
That's the way it goes. Well, as you know, this is our 20th episode. We are, a fifth of the way there to 100. I'm, super stoked. I love that. And for those of you who don't know who I am, see, I have lower third today. That's me.
Did you fix the other one?
No, I didn't. I still haven't fixed the other one, but we'll get there. Today, on today's show, we have, we're talking about a year in review of 52. And in honor of that, my wife baked us a cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, she baked us a cake, and we're going to bring that cake into camera here.
Our lovely assistant's going to show
our lovely assistant. Let's see if we can get that in there. There we go, the new 52. Look at that. My wife baked a Batman cake.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear DC. Happy birthday to you.
And Jim Lee designed you as well. I don't know.
That worked out well. I like that. So we're not going to talk too much about the news this week because there really wasn't a whole lot.
No, not much. Marvel's made a couple of announcements of things we kind of know are coming. They're starting to announce the creative teams of the Marvel Now stuff, but we're going to save that, I think, when we know what
a little bit more about what's happening.
The landscape of Marvel Now is going to look like. So
right.
The one I remember was Mark Waid doing Incredible Hulk, which I'm greatly looking forward to. He's knocking Daredevil out of the park right now, and I think he's going to be the right guy for the Incredible Hulk.
I think so too. I think that's the way to go. Marvel's got to make some changes. They have to switch things up a little bit, and I think this is the right direction to go. 52, however, 52 is now we're starting to see the 12th issue. So 1 year later, DC's revamp of the universe.
By the end of this month, we will be at a full year. We're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but it's worth talking about. So
it is worth talking about. How many there's a number of issues that came out this week of 52. There's 5, right? 5 or 6. Yeah,
things are a little more spread out because we got 5 shipping weeks for this month.
Right.
5 Wednesdays. So the lists are a little bit smaller, so they can fill in that extra week.
Right.
But we had Animal Man, Swamp Thing number 12. Trying to remember them all. There was quite a few.
Incorporated came out.
Dial H number 4.
Right.
Well, Incorporated kind of came out. We were sitting on Batman Incorporated.
Right.
That was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, first batch is out, and it's wrapping up storylines. So next month,
right,
we're gonna have Zeros all month long.
That's going to be an exciting month for us. We're going to be talking about those all month.
Yeah.
So we've got on our roster for review today, we're going to be looking at Superman's Action Comics from the new 52, and that's number 12. So we'll just kind of teasing that a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's get into the heart of the New 52. Let's go back a year. A little over a year when the
all right.
You got to kind of go back just a little over a year when the announcement was made.
It's 2011.
Look, my clothes are no different. See, I wore the same clothes in 2011 that I'm wearing today. Just a different hat.
Yeah.
The other ones were all,
You went back to a day you didn't shave.
Yeah, I went back to. Yes, I didn't shave all week. I didn't shave.
Okay, so
let's talk.
We can go all the way back to Flashpoint on this.
Yeah. So at the end of Flashpoint, or just before the end of Flashpoint, the announcement was made.
Yeah.
That DC Comics is rebooting the entire DCU.
Yeah. And you were getting a sense, even up to that point, something was coming. They had canceled the Wildstorm line.
Right.
They had canceled their manga line. They had canceled their internet venture, Zuda. DC was restructuring and truncating their lines and trying to consolidate things. Less labels, make it a little more accessible. And we started seeing the Wildstorm characters showing up in Flashpoint, so we knew something was coming out of this. And then they made the announcement that brand new DC, the New 52, we were going to launch with 52 new titles, and people were pissed.
Yeah, the not only in stores, but the internet buzz was like, "What are they doing? Are they crazy? They're going to shut
read
down
another DC comic."
Exactly.
Blah 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 blah.
How are they going to mess with my characters?
That's awful.
Was the big problem.
You're just trashing everything I do. Really? Because there's a whole stack of comics that says otherwise.
Yeah, really.
Everything you read is still valid. It's sitting right there. But there was all sorts of arguments and hatred, and even I had a bit of resistance initially.
I remember you talking about that.
Having been gone through it already, it didn't seem that long ago, but it was, during the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, and then they started making announcements, and they were good, they were exciting, they were different. They were concentrating on diversity of character and diversity of line. We had different themes, and we had war comics and horror comics, and of course your superhero brands and fantasy, and I mean they were trying to cover all their bases and
see what they threw it at the wall to see what was going to stick.
In a way they were working with a structure they did in the 70s,
right?
And we saw some classic lines come back and some new characters come to the fold, and I mean, it was an exciting time. I must admit, I'm still a little scratch my head at I understand why they kept the Green Lantern continuity and the Batman continuity. We're starting to see problems arise with that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
But the main thing was they brought the DC-owned Vertigo characters into the fold, as well as the Wildstorm characters. So when the new universe launched, we had Martian Manhunter over on Stormwatch,
right?
Which is was kind of a big deal. I'm surprised we don't actually have any Wildstorm characters over on the Justice League, but that could still happen.
That could still happen. Don't count that one out yet.
Yeah,
I think DC is making the changes over the year. This was kind of the testing of the water. Throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
See what fans are going to respond to. Yeah, there was some unfavorable stuff, but I think once fans started to read some of these books, they were going, hey, this is actually some pretty good storytelling.
Well, and once these things started coming out, I mean, people were excited. That hatred turned into an immense amount of excitement, and it wasn't just an excitement for DC, it was an excitement for comics. We saw a huge boost in DC sales, but we saw a boost in comic sales in general. We saw new readers or lapsed readers coming back to the fold. We saw Marvel guys shift over to DC, which you never see happen. I mean, we had a brand new accessible point for people, for the most part. Batman had changed, or hadn't really changed, but
Green Lantern didn't really change.
Green Lantern didn't change. Legion of Superheroes didn't change. Which, I look back on that. Let's see, the former DC president's book didn't change.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, Jeff Johns, who is now one of the top 6 running the company.
Is he not one of the big creative directors now?
Yeah, he's a vice president of some sort. And it was, and all the work of Grant Morrison, their top selling writer, didn't change.
Didn't change.
So
Yeah.
But that's it would have been a shame to have thrown all that hard work they've put into those characters away. And I'm as a fan, I'm glad they didn't. But at the same time, if you're going to start whole cloth, they probably should have done it.
Right.
I think whole cloth and just because we're starting to see certain problems arise, and
well, there's continuity issues coming up now.
Yes.
That run over the last 5 years of continuity in Batman.
Yeah.
Run over the last 5 years in Green Lantern.
Got somebody like Scott Lobdell saying Tim Drake was never Robin.
Yeah.
Wow, over in Batman and Robin,
Tim Drake is Robin.
That little shit Damien's going to kicking the shit out of all the former Robins,
right,
including Tim Drake. So hello, right hand meet left hand.
Yeah.
Maybe the editors need to start talking to each other a little bit.
Do you think this, and I've said this before and I've asked you this question, do you think this is going to lead up to another crisis at some point?
I think at some point. I mean, they've said
did crisis even happen?
Well, that's a good point. And Dan Didio has said publicly it hasn't happened, but when DC launched, there were certain things that said it had. There's a small throwaway line about in Hawk and Dove, where he says his brother, the original Dove, had passed away during a crisis. Well, you can technically, because it's a new universe, you could say it was any kind of battle,
sure.
Anything really horrible could be a crisis. But, that was kind of a nod to that story. So we're still unsure of what stays and what is gone. Did Superman die fighting Doomsday?
Right.
We hear it's still part of that story, but we've seen no mention of it. So did it? Didn't it? I don't know.
Did the Blackest Night happen?
Is still... Which I'm thinking it does. If you're reading Green Lantern right now, they with the Black Hand stuff, they do talk about the Black Lanterns again, and it really is the first mention of them again since the universe had started. So we've got to assume it did, but that storyline's going to have changed quite a bit, structurally. So I'm wondering if they'll do a flashback retelling of it in some way, shape, or form, because a lot of those characters are different characters now.
And that kind of brings up another point. And we talked about this when we were talking about the Green Lantern book last week. The Guardians are getting ready, and we all know this, that the Guardians are getting ready to axe the Green Lanterns in favor of another group of peacekeepers. Like, are these guys just mentally ill?
Well, their heads aren't that big because they're smart. I think they're just tumors.
Could be.
It's not a tumor.
It could be.
They're looking to replace their core with a core that has no emotions.
Well, that's what they tried to do with the Hunters,
which didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're I don't know. That's gonna be a good story, and I think that'll start trickling out by the end of the year. Actually, that storyline. So,
but that just goes to say, did everything in the last 5 years happen for them or not? Because now we're seeing, we've seen the Black Hand come back. We've seen the Black Book come back along with the rings.
Yeah.
However, they mentioned nothing about the previous Blackest Night or Brightest Day scenarios.
Yeah, and Brightest Day is another one where it hasn't been mentioned. Do the White Rings exist anymore? Does any of that
Sure they do. It's up on my shelf.
Well, yeah, I mean, in continuity, not your continuity.
Oh, okay.
That's
not my own little twisted mind.
But, Brightest Day as its story, which was a great story, can't exist now because those characters are completely different. Some don't exist anymore. And some, died during that Blackest Night storyline to come back, changed. I mean, that Hawkman is a completely different Hawkman now.
Yeah, exactly.
So... There's a lot of questions, and hopefully some of the Zeros will start sorting some of these questions out. But they've made slips. Obviously, they didn't have this all figured out as much as they told us they had. Teen Titans, was there Teen Titans beforehand?
Good question.
They do drop hints that in certain books, like Redhead and the Outlaws, that Starfire was a part of a different group of superheroes.
Yeah.
We're talking about Nightwing. We're talking about essentially the old Titans lineup. But she's never met Arsenal before.
No, that's true.
So, and now we're starting to hear that this group of Titans is the first group of Titans. So, they kind of need to get their story straight, I think. There was mention of Martian Manhunter being on the Justice League, and he's like, well, no, I kind of just infiltrated the group. They wound up writing that back and pulling that back.
Okay, so here comes the question. Is it going to be a Bobby Ewing moment? And Barry Allen's going to walk out of the shower and everything's going to be normal again?
I don't think
Nobody's going to have died?
No, there will have an out, though. I do have some theories that might happen down the road.
Okay.
And there is a Flash that no longer exists, or so we think.
Okay.
And Flash is always tied to the Crisis, so I think Wally is going to be their get-out-of-jail-free card.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds. You might be right about that.
If nothing else, he could. They could bring Wally back in such a way. He was married, he had kids.
Right.
He doesn't even exist in this universe anymore. So if he came to this new 52, I mean, he'd be looking to change it back. So in a way, he'd be the villain, a heroic villain. But
yeah,
he would, it'd be
kind
that
of an anti-hero
conflict of ideas
Sure.
that worked for Marvel with Civil War.
Right.
You can, we all love Wally. We want and.
Could they almost be taking a page from that playbook, though?
Yeah, I think they're saving him up for something like that,
okay.
honestly.
So let's talk about what worked and what didn't work real quickly. We had a whole whack of books hit the shelves last year at this time, and some only lasted 2-3 issues.
No, everything lasted at least 8 issues.
At least 8 issues?
They gave it a good shot.
Did they?
Yeah,
I thought a couple were pulled even before they even hit the shelves.
No. Everything.
See, look how much I know about
Everything got
comics.
Canceled within the first wave, made it to an 8-issue storyline. So
right.
That's not bad. They tried. The books that died on after their first 8, those were OMAC, Hawk and Dove, Men of War, Black Hawk, Static Shock, and Mr. Terrific.
Right.
My sales reflected these books. None of them came as a bit of a surprise. Some were a shame, I mean, Hawk and Dove really was it felt like the old book, the 80s book all over again.
Right.
I mean, it was the same.
And the funny thing is, that's a book I never read in the 80s. I mean, I read a lot of books in the 80s, and that certainly wasn't one.
It really is. I mean, it was Rob Liefeld's getting part of that new 52, and that's the book he wanted to do. And, it didn't work. It's too bad, but he tried.
I think the biggest surprises for me would have been Black Hawk and Mr. Terrific out of all of those that were canceled out of the first
Mr. Terrific
wave.
could have been something good. I think they launched that one too early. They've stated that he's supposed to be in the Justice League at some point, so they probably should have launched him out of the Justice League rather than the other way. And now he's going to be part of the Justice Society. He's part of the Earth 2 books. So, I like the fact that despite these characters' books have been canceled, they're still out there. We haven't seen much of Hawk and Dove, but the Blackhawks are still running around in titles, which it didn't sell very well, but I like that G.I. Joe aspect that those characters had.
Yeah, they updated the Blackhawks. For the relaunch of the 52.
It was essentially
it wasn't
that
World War II sort of Blackhawks that
they were
we know
really
and love.
acknowledging the root of the Blackhawks. Yeah, they really said Golden Age didn't happen in this new 52.
Right.
Everything is just starting now. And in the case of the Blackhawks, Blackhawks are the kind of the book that inspired concepts like G.I. Joe. So it was a natural progression, I thought, for the characters, but a lot of the old readers of Blackhawk were really insulted by it. But hello, this is the new 52.
Right.
They're new ideas, new concepts. So again, not everything's going to work. OMAC was an interesting Kirby throwback type of character, but he's running around in Justice League International right now.
That's right. Okay.
So,
so the characters haven't been eliminated; they've just been shuffled off to other properties.
And, we probably haven't seen the last of Static Shock yet. He's made some minor appearances in Teen Titans, so he's probably going to show up again as well.
Now that brings me to my next point. With the changes that were made in some of these characters to update them, we've seen some characters that have gotten quite a tongue lashing from the press, from parent groups, from in particular Starfire. Who has become the new 52's what's a good way of putting this? Lady of the Night.
Yes. She's an alien with a different moral structure.
Really different moral structure
and selective memory.
Selective memory.
You know, you
Isn't that every woman's problem?
Trust in law.
Oh, now we're going to get lots of email.
You said it. I didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
I think people need to give Lobdell a chance to tell his story. There's a reason why he's writing the character the way he is.
Okay.
And it's going to be revealed at some point. You know, I doubt the fact that she doesn't remember the men she slept with. I suspect it has a lot more. There's a little bit more suppression going on.
Did she get up in the middle of the night, chew her arm off, and run away?
All you humans look the same.
It could be.
And you know, we've seen it in Catwoman. We've Batman. Superheroes have needs too. You know. Catwoman #1, Batman and Catwoman, get it on, man.
Well, of course. You knew that's something that's been running rampant in the Batman universe for years, though.
Yeah, so it's their way of acknowledging it. This is a different universe.
That's right.
They're running a little bit more with the Wildstorm morality, and they're telling you this isn't the universe you had, you know. That said, you know, parents, watch the labels on these things. Flip through the books.
Yeah, definitely watch the labels on these things.
And there are a lot more violence. Man, those first few issues, there was decapitations and intestines, and it was brutal. I mean, Wonder Woman's a horror book. It's
pretty much
at its core is a horror book, horror fantasy book.
We reviewed one a few weeks ago.
It's a great read, but it's a lot different. It's not your grandma's Wonder Woman, man.
Batgirl, was she ever Oracle?
Good question. We know she was shot by the Joker. Killing Joke still happened, but they have made no acknowledgement to Oracle as of yet. She was in the wheelchair for, I think they say, about 5 years. So Oracle, yes, I think there's room for it. Whether it has happened,
who knows?
We don't know.
Interesting.
They need to acknowledge some of that stuff, and you know, it's good that they're taking their time with it. At least Gail Simone's smart enough to not make mention one way or the other,
right?
But that said, I think it's the first iteration of the Birds of Prey, so at least some of Oracle's history hasn't happened.
All right,
because she was responsible for putting that team together.
That's right.
And they're pretty much have said now that this is the first iteration of the Birds of Prey. So obviously, Oracle wound up never putting the Birds of Prey together.
Now let's look at these. I like to call them sleeper hits because they were hits at one time, then they kind of faded into obscurity. And now with the New 52, you never thought that these books would make it back into popularity. And the books I'm talking about, of course, are Aquaman by Jeff Johns. Like totally different.
Aquaman's outselling X-Men right now.
Yeah. We've got Animal Man.
Yeah.
And Swamp Thing.
And, you know, characters who become popular and then slip back into obscurity rarely become popular again.
Yeah.
So this is quite the feat for them. Two of them are horror books, not superhero books at all.
Right.
They've been very closely linked to each other, and they're fantastic, fantastic reads.
Speaking of Swamp Thing, you and I are both fans of Swamp Thing, so Adrienne Barbeau can't get better than that. Oh, yeah, that's in the movie.
That's a movie.
I'm slipping. My mind is slipping. But anyway, that was their attempt, of course, to bring Swamp Thing back into the fold and try and relaunch a book of Swamp Thing back in the 80s. Yeah. It didn't happen. I mean,
and they've tried even multiple attempts to relaunch in Vertigo too. After, I mean, I think their big mistake was canceling the book in the first place because every time they tried to bring it back out again, they just couldn't make it go.
Well, the Swamp Thing now is a little different origin than what we've come to know.
That one's a little weird too because it feels like Scott Snyder is acknowledging everything, and Lemire and Animal Man as well is acknowledging all of the Vertigo stuff. I think it's truncated and changed somewhat. In what ways, we don't know, but a lot of what Swamp Thing did and what Alec Holland thought was, I mean, all that stuff's kind of there. It's a different approach to the character. It was the Swamp Thing thinking he was Alec Holland, so they managed to reset it without resetting it. And it makes me think that these books were in development prior to the idea of the New 52.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think they would have just started fresh. Some of them,
and gave it a whole new origin.
You look at Dial H, you look at Animal Man and Swamp Thing. They probably all were going to be Vertigo relaunches prior to the idea of the New 52.
Okay.
And you actually look at the list of these things, and the ones that didn't really work. And, you know, I wasn't in the offices, I don't know, but you get the feeling they had maybe 45 good ideas. And, we need to hit our magic number. And some of them just didn't seem to have the meat that the others did in the development time. We all know Batwoman was meant to launch much, much earlier, and J.H. Williams just needed more time to develop that book. And it was always meant to be a pre-52 launch book, and you know, why not just hold it off until the relaunch? So that
they had a Batwoman book prior to the New 52.
Well, no, she was the lead character in Detective for quite a while.
Okay.
While
Batman
Greg Rucka was writing the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was the lead feature character in Detective.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've seen some hits. We've seen some not so hits. Now we're coming to the end of Series 2, as they've put it. When we launch into the Zeros, which are next month in September, we're going to see the end of Wave 2. I'm sorry, not Series 2, but Wave 2.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more cancellations, and we're going to see some new titles come out of that.
4 more books. Justice League International is going to end. And I don't think that was a sales issue. I think just going to turn into something else. I am a little surprised that it's not relaunching right away, but I can hazard a guess that we're going to probably see more cancels and launches in January. And we'll probably see whatever Justice League International morphs into right around then.
Okay.
That's my guess. Voodoo's ending.
Right.
Which is, you know, another Wildstorm character bites the dust. But, you know, those characters are starting to move closer and closer to Wildcats.
Right.
So, you know, you can expect a Wildcats launch at some point. And
you really think they're going to go that road? I mean, Wildcats has failed so many times.
Why would Jim Lee not want to? I mean, it's Jim Lee's baby. He's one of the heads of the company.
It's failed so many times.
He's going to do it.
You think?
Oh yeah. I mean, he wants.
I'll be surprised if it makes it.
The other guys are the editors and stuff. They're going to want to keep him on Justice League. Jim Lee wants to do Wildcats. That's his baby. It's going to happen.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Okay.
When is. Who knows? But I mean, we're starting to see that lead up to, you know, Grifter is, you know, we're starting to see him head that direction.
Right.
One of the introduction books is going to be Team 7, some more background and some of these Wildstorm characters, while mixing some DC guys in there as well. And yeah, Wildcats is going to happen. So you guys keep your eyes peeled.
All right.
Resurrection Man. This was his second kick at the cat, so he's getting canceled, unfortunately. So I don't know if he'll get resurrected for a third go.
I don't think so.
And there's a character who disappeared last time he was canceled. So you know, I love the character. This iteration, was kind of lackluster. It felt more like regurgitation of the last book. So whether they use him again or not, I kind of hope he sticks around in the DC universe and doesn't disappear. Maybe they'll shuffle him off somewhere else, or he'll show up as in a storyline somewhere. But hopefully we'll see him again. And Captain Atom, man, I'm not surprised the book's ending, but it's just didn't find his audience. But they're trying to do this Watchmen-esque Dr. Manhattan story with him, and
that could be a tough play.
I don't think that story's over. So just because the book is ending here on
could
the
show up in
Zero
other
issue,
stories.
I think that's a give me. So
okay.
He's going to turn up somewhere else, and maybe that will be whatever the Justice League International book, the new version of that will be. I think that's probably a likely home for him.
So let's quickly, before we wrap up the segment, talk about Wave 3. Coming up, cancels Justice League International, Voodoo. We already talked about Resurrection Man, Captain Atom. But what's launching is Talon, Sword of Sorcery, Phantom Stranger, Team 7, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Phantom Stranger is the one I'm looking most forward to, because I mean, I know that book from when I was a kid.
Yeah, and Phantom Stranger, it's an interesting launch. They got Dan Didio writing that. I can't remember who's doing the artwork on it. I think that one's going to be the most important of the four. Because we in that free comic book day teaser,
right,
which you can win from us.
Yes.
We talk. They talk about his origins in the Trinity of Sin.
Okay.
And his connection to Pandora, who created this new 52 universe. So we're probably going to see a lot of revelations there, and they hint at a storyline called the Trinity War within the pages of that free comic book day book.
They do.
And we're going to see the seeds sown.
Pandora's box.
Yeah. And I think Phantom Stranger is going to be where we see the seeds sown for that story. So that's the book to watch, people.
Looking forward to that.
Talon spins out of the Night of Owls, Court of Owls story that was running over in Batman, and it's co-written by Scott Snyder, so it should be cool. And definitely an anti-hero type of character.
Gotcha.
Looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Sword and the Sorcery is going to be more of an anthology type of story. It's going to be led by Amethyst, and the backup story is going to be Beowulf.
Oh, good.
And it's going to have a similar setup that All-Star Western has.
Right.
You know, they got Jonah as the lead, and then a different Western character as a backup.
I'm kind of looking forward to reading some All-Star Western. I haven't read
very good.
Anything with Jonah in a while. So
very good.
Jonah Hex is the character we're talking about for all those who don't know who we're referring to.
Yes.
And if you
don't let the movie throw you off.
Yeah.
The book is awesome.
Yeah. Don't watch the movie.
Yeah. And Team 7, it's going
to
be.
And if you do, just turn off the sound.
Yeah, exactly. It's awful. It's Wild Wild West awful.
Because there's nothing like Megan Fox with no sound.
Team 7 is the fourth book.
Oh, we're sick.
Team 7 is the fourth book, and it's going to be set in the past.
Right.
It's a military team comprised of Grifter. Probably, God, is Deathblow in there? I can't remember. Deathstroke is definitely in there.
Okay.
Which is a new addition to Team 7.
Yeah.
Amanda Waller is on that team.
Wow.
A couple other Wildstorm guys. So it's going to be a neat mix of characters. I personally love Deathstroke. So
I've always been a Deathstroke fan. I always thought he was kind of cool.
To that book, and I think he's a very natural addition to the Wildstorm parts of the universe.
Okay.
He's one of the few DC characters I think who flows really easily into the Wildstorm type
predictions.
of stories.
Let's get into predictions real quick.
Predictions.
What do you think's going to stick? What do you think's going to eventually fall by the wayside?
I think Firestorm
is going to fall.
I think Firestorm's going to.
I think so too.
Days are numbered. I think Blue Beetle's days are numbered.
Yep.
We're just watching the clock, I think, on Grifter and Hawkman, and the only reason Green Arrow hasn't been canceled is because he's got a TV show coming.
That's right.
And so I'm really hoping Ann Nocenti can turn that book around. He needs to be that character. We love that anti-establishment type of character, and he's just not that character yet. And it's the birth of these characters in a way. So, I'd like to see that story where he becomes the Oliver Queen we all know and love from the prior universe, because that's the one we love. And
that's
this
right.
one, we have enough billionaire playboys.
He seems kind of dry, doesn't he?
Yeah. Right now, it just feels old.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing fresh.
Yeah, there's nothing fresh. It feels like he's been pulled right out of the Smallville TV show, which I understand. That's what the bulk of the new readers are probably familiar with.
Right.
But it's just not all that interesting, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've got our opinions.
I don't with Green Arrow getting a TV show, the book's not going anywhere.
Okay, just before we jump into our review, we've got some people to thank, so we might as well do that right now.
Sure.
So first and foremost, we have to thank these fine folks, Gorilla Printing. Gorilla Printing is your one-stop shop for all the printing that you need. Everything from business cards to trade show banners, you name it, they got it. They ship all over Canada. Check them out at gorillaprinting.ca. They are the people's printer. So, yes, they are the people's printer. And who else we got to thank? Oh, we got to thank these fine guys over at Red Skull Comics. Red Skull Comics, located at 720A Edmonton Trail Northeast in Calgary. You can find them on the web at redskull.com. It is redskull.com. Yes, it is. redskull.com. And they have a great selection of back issues, current issues, digital copies. You name it, they've got it. Check them out. And finally, before we move into our review, these are the guys that give us our review books every week. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can thank them.
And that's Words and Pictures, located right here in Calgary at 2610 Center Street Northeast. The phone number is 403-282-8870. And they got all your file service needs, largest selection of back issues in Calgary. And toys, statues, you name it, we got it. If you can't find it, they will order it for you.
There you go. And don't forget to like Words and Pictures on Facebook.
That's right.
Yes, they have a Facebook page, which is kind of cool.
Yes. All
right, so let's get into our review. Our review we're starting this week with, I'm not even sure what we're starting this week.
Pull one at random.
What's on play? Okay, I know what we're going to start with the new 52, seeing as we've been talking about that. We're going to start with Superman Action Comics number 12. And
I got to apologize for you. I pulled a part 2 for you to review.
Pulled me a part 2?
It's a part 2.
Oh, well, you know what? That's okay.
I hope you weren't too lost with it.
Well, no, it's I'm not digging the young Superman so much. Sorry. I thought the artwork in the book was good. I thought the fact that he went, and this is spoiler alert, the fact that
Why don't you tell who did the artwork?
Oh, yeah,
let
me just go to that page because I forgot.
It's Rag Morales doing
there we go.
Majority of this book, although there
Grant Morrison's writing the book. Rag Morales, Cafu, and Brad Walker do the pencils in this book. I gotta say, I'm not digging the young Superman, like I said. I'm not digging the fact that Superman has this huge brain, like, Brainiac, and can read an entire medical journal and learn how to do surgery in all of 3 seconds.
Journals.
Yeah, well.
A library of journals.
A library of journals, and he becomes a surgeon. Now he's Dr. Superman. What a stupid-ass story.
And they go to the point of putting gloves on him, and he's like, would you like a scalpel? No, my fingernail it will do. And I'm like, why'd you put on the gloves?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even scrub up. Like, what is wrong with that story?
And he just lasers her. And
now Lois has got kryptonite infection.
And you... reading, I have this weird love-hate relationship with this book. Like, Grant Morrison's got some interesting ideas going on in here, and he's trying to bring a lot of the Silver Age concepts back to the fold, where Superman had a lot more powers than the ones we traditionally know, and a lot more abilities. It's neat. I'm not sure I'm there yet.
After reading this book, I got to say, Action Comics is not going to be high on my list.
I love Rags Morales' artwork. This was a little looser than he's actually done on the previous issues.
Well, you got to consider there's 3 guys doing pencils on this, so it's not just one guy.
There's probably a time consideration here to get the book out, because DC's very serious about keeping their books on a monthly schedule. So I think there was some time issues happening with this one. But his full issues, like, I still love his pencils. They're just really rich and detailed, and there's a certain weight to it, and it gives a certain reality to it. And they go to the point of doing a backup story and of explaining why he's got all these T-shirts.
I just found the book campy.
It is a bit campy. I have to admit, it is a bit campy, and they're kind of going back to some of that Kurt Swan type of stuff.
Yeah, DC, you can cancel this book. It's okay. Yeah, nobody will mind.
I mind. It's my favorite of the 2 Superman.
Nobody cares about your opinion, though. Oh, they do, because
we
have a show every Saturday.
Yeah, we got a show. So, try it. Grant Morrison does have a tendency to lose me on some of his ideas. I just don't take the same drugs that he does. But
maybe we should all be taking what Grant's taking.
I'm okay with it.
We'd have a liver about that big, but, dried up little raisin for a liver. But
yeah, there's a man who should not wear white suits.
No, that's for sure.
I don't know what that means.
So
I mean, you obviously didn't like the book.
I
have read all of them up to this point. It's interesting getting the background. They're kind of doing contemporary stories and then flashing back and contemporary flashing back. So
I found that in this too. They flash
bounces
back
a lot around. I've certainly they introduce a new version of Captain Comet in this universe. Not happy that he's a jerk, but It's interesting to see how these new characters are popping up, and some of them, in the case of Captain Comet, are completely new, and virtually unrecognizable compared to their previous iterations. So it's cool that they're recreating characters whole cloth in some cases.
All right, so our next book, well, we all know I'm a huge Vampirella fan.
Yes, so his review is tainted.
My review is actually, it's not this week.
Oh, really?
It is not. So we are reviewing Dark Shadows Vampirella. We see Barnabas Collins come into the world of the lovely Vampirella, and we see, well, this one's written by Mark Andreyko and illustrated by Patrick Birkenkotter. I think that's the way you pronounce his name.
I'll give that one to you. I'm unfamiliar with him.
Covers by Fabio Neves. Covers looks great.
Yeah, well, this is Dynamite we're talking about. There's about 5,000 covers.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, there's only 4 covers for this one.
I was exaggerating.
Yeah,
Why does everybody think I'm not exaggerating when I say stuff like that?
Artwork, I found this to be kind of dated.
It felt like Vampirella to me. I'm not a fan of Vampirella or Dark Shadows. Gotta say, I didn't mind this that much. I mean, it feels old school in the way it's presented. It feels a bit throwaway story, and that sounds really insulting, but it's I shouldn't say throwaway. It's a throwback.
It's a throwback type story.
It reads kind of like a '90s story, and I really like Andreyko's writing style. I mean, I couldn't get enough of his Manhunter stuff. That said, I didn't hate the book. It's really just a setup, and you get Vampirella and Barnabas meeting by the end of the book.
Story-wise, don't get me wrong, I thought the story was okay.
Some interesting ideas here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for Ripper lore. That's a hint.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too spoilery here, but so yeah, you got Jack the Ripper, Barnabas Collins, and Vampirella. Things are getting really interesting right off the bat.
And a character that we have not seen in the book, I think, for a while, and she's unnamed, but she's kind of taking control of everything in this book. Story-wise, I thought the story was solid. I like Andreyko's writing. I do. Artwork, for me, felt a little too 90s.
I thought so, too.
I think that the book would have been better served as a black and white book, more so than a color book.
You know, I almost wish Dynamite, and people seem to be resistant to it, especially when Marvel finally pulled back and pulled Conan off the racks. Savage Sword of Conan, I'm talking about, in Conan Saga. And Vampirella's roots are from black and white magazines. And
they are.
I think
the old Warren magazines.
Yeah, now's the time to maybe try that again. This would have been, I think, a great place for that.
I think so too.
Yeah. It's neat to see these properties crossing over, though.
Well, now they've also changed her origin a little bit too.
I don't know what they've done with this character since they've picked it up. Is she an alien now?
She is no longer. She's not an alien. She's from Draculon. She was born, I think, if I remember right, the new storyline, she's born out of hell. Really.
Oh.
But she rebels against hell, like every good, woman
Lady
from
Death,
hell.
yeah.
They rebel. And
why
Lady
is it if
Death,
they're from hell, they only have slingshots for clothing?
They tried to give Vampirella like real clothes, but people didn't like it.
And she's walking around in a trench coat the whole time.
Yeah, she kind of looks like Carmen Sandiego in this book. And then she rips off her trench coat and throws her hat into the dumpster and sprouts these big bat-like wings from her underarms. Now that gives a whole new meaning to European hair.
Yeah.
But it's a good, solid read. I like the fact that Barnabas looks like Barnabas Collins.
Yeah, this isn't
from the original TV series.
This isn't referencing the new Tim Burton movie. This seems to fall into classic Dark Shadows category.
I like the fact that here we've got two characters coming together that both hate vampires, yet, oh, wait a sec, they're both vampires.
I'm just waiting for Blade to turn up on this story.
Could possibly be.
Another vampire who hunts vampires.
Now, overall, I think it's a good read.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Our work is not my favorite.
It didn't blow me away, and especially for not being a fan of either property.
Right.
Saying it's okay is probably the best review I'm ever going to give it.
Did you read the Pathfinder? at the backside. Nah, me either.
Yeah,
so there's a whole nother story in this book.
It's actually just a preview of their new Pathfinder comic book, which is
coming out soon,
based off the roleplay game.
Right.
Yeah. And I did flip through it, and visually it looks pretty nice. So
I did think this was awesome, though, and I got to show this on camera. I don't know.
Yeah, Garth Ennis doing the Shadow. Isn't that such a natural thing? I hope he's on there more than 6 issues that I think he's going to be on there for.
I love how they've taken the half of the face and given an explanation to why he covers it.
Yeah.
Like, that is so cool. So I'm looking forward to the Shadow. When that comes out, we'll probably review that at some point in time. Yeah, let's go to another disappointing book for the day. I don't know.
You already came in with this one with negative before you even read it.
That's because I looked through it.
You were a little soured by Batman Odyssey.
Before I get to the book, I will say, listen, Neil, if you watch the show, if you don't, if somebody watches the show, let Neil know that I love the guy. I think he's great. I just think his artwork in recent years sucks. And the book that we're talking about, of course, is First X-Men. Before Xavier's Dream, there was the first X-Men, and this one is, of course, written and drawn by Neil Adams, and
it's actually co-written by Joe Casey.
Right, Joe Casey as well is on this book. Now,
so I find the writing is actually a little bit better than Batman Odyssey was.
I still like Neil Adams' the story. Artwork. I like the story. Don't get me wrong. The artwork just. Not digging it, man.
I still like Adam's artwork. It's a little looser, a little more exaggerated than they used to be. I don't have a problem with it as much as you do. So for me, it's still really lush Art Adams
Every
stuff.
character has the same friggin' face.
Well, that's Adams, though, and I have to. He's always been like that, and I gotta say, I really hated his Magneto near the end. He's got this certain way he styles his characters, and at times I think Neil Adams never left the 70s, and I hate that hair too.
Well, the very last panel of the book before it says to be continued is almost taken right out of X-Men First Class.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that we've had 2 concepts now, this and the other one being Avengers 1959. And Sabretooth's a good guy in both of these things. I mean, they try to explain it a little bit more by Wolverine and be like, I'll give you money.
Yeah.
But, this guy's a really bad dude, and I find it really hard to buy it when
they're chummy.
They're chummy. I guess at this point he hasn't killed any of Wolverine's girlfriends, but
maybe not. The first X-Men his version of Odyssey?
I'm wondering if it is, and honestly, it doesn't. What this series is meant to be, and this is pretty much from his mouth, is it's meant to fill that gap prior to X-Men #1. What was going on with these characters before X-Men #1 had come out?
Okay.
And it feels weird and wrong. Like Xavier, I assume during Giant Size had just been meeting at Wolverine for the first time, which doesn't really jive here because Wolverine's coming to Xavier with this whole "let's teach the mutant kids" concept.
That's right. And Xavier doesn't want to have any part of it.
And Xavier's like, screw that. I'm gonna go get married.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a life. I want to be human. And everything it feels weird and off, and maybe that's part of the story.
I don't know.
Wolverine isn't supposed to be that character yet. He really only became that type of character in recent years.
That's right.
So to have him in this character, although he is using his swords, he hasn't even got his adamantium yet, so he hasn't gone through the whole Weapon X thing yet.
And he's still got the bone claws.
So I don't know. I'm on the fence on this book. There were story ideas I liked a lot that just made me scratch my head and go, that doesn't fit. But it's only the first out of 5-6 issues. I'm not exactly sure how long this story is. I think it's about 5 issues. But right now, it feels like a story that is out of continuity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And we're going to go next to a book that is out of continuity.
Way out of continuity. Actually, you know, as people know, we only do 3 books every week. We do a Marvel, a DC, and usually a wild card pick. But this week, I couldn't resist because I was like a 12-year-old boy going into the comic book store again for the first time, going, I want to read that book, I want to read that book, I want to read that book. So we decided that we were going to give you a bonus book this week. And this week we are looking at, let's see if I can bring it up here. That's not it.
Let's all go to the lobby.
We'll show that to you.
We'll show that. There we go. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe #1. Now,
this follows in the tradition of Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, right. And we've had a few of these books now, and it starts with the Watcher narrating the story.
This is written by Cullen Bunn.
Yep.
And Dalibor Talajek is the artist. I hope I didn't butcher that name. I probably did.
Please contact us if you did.
Yeah. But Deadpool, although I'm not a Deadpool reader, and you know that, I don't read this book on a regular basis or even on a semi-regular basis. I do know that this character is freaking nuts.
Yes.
And
apparently in this universe, they know that too.
Everybody knows that he's nuts.
They're hauling him into the asylum during this storyline.
And Xavier says in the book that, I can usually help these people, but he's way beyond my help.
Yeah.
So there you got to see some of the artwork of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe.
So Xavier takes him to this
nut house,
and this doctor can help him. So he says, and the doctor is not who he seems to be.
No.
And during his experimentation to bring Deadpool under his thrall, as it were, he manages to pretty much kill his alternate personality and resurrect a really bad one.
I'm not sure if it's a really bad one or it's just one that doesn't give a crap.
It seems to want to kill everything. It is a psychopath personality.
It seems very level-headed, though, in the dialogue.
Yes, he is very even-keeled serial killer type of Dahmer type of personality. Absolutely.
Hi, come on in for tea, and then I'll eat your liver.
He was a quiet, nice man.
I enjoyed his liver with a little bit of fava beans.
So he gets out. Didn't work so well for the mysterious villain. We'll leave.
We won't spoil that.
It was a nice usage of an obscure character we haven't seen in a while. So
this is true.
That I'll say.
I do like the way he stamps him out, though.
Yeah.
You'll have to go to. It doesn't even tell you the page number, but. I like how he decides to walk away from the asylum in a very big cloud of smoldering fire behind him. And a large kaboom, he obviously sets the place on fire. And I'm going to spoil the end of this book.
Spoiler.
He goes to the Watcher and the Watcher realizes that he can see him. And normally, we can't see the Watcher. Nobody in the Marvel Universe can see the Watcher. And goes in and says, and cuts his head off.
Watch,
and then he points to the camera and goes, I'm coming after you guys next.
Which is kind of eerie in a way.
Very weird.
We're used to Deadpool breaking that wall, but in this case, it was kind of creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very creepy. Yeah. I'm totally looking forward to the next book. There's only 4 books. Yeah,
it's
a
series. 4-issue limited series, and it is a weekly series. #2 will be out this coming Wednesday.
Okay. Just for our younger viewers that tune in and watch our stupidness, this has a parental advisory on it, so parents, let your kids know, and this is not for kids. There's a lot of violence in this book. There's some harsh language in the book. And I think all 4 books in this series are going to...
it's going to be an ultra-violent blood fest.
What did you think of Sue Richards popping his head like a balloon?
Awesome.
I thought that was a great scene.
But, things happen. She's well-motivated in doing so. It didn't seem to slow him down at all, though.
Nope. His line was, never turn your back on a dead guy.
Yeah.
So, Deadpool #1, go check it out. pick it up in your stores. If you're a Deadpool fan, definitely worth the look. And the cover art is unbelievable. You've got Captain America. Who's that? Peter Parker in his Spidey torn up mask. You have Storm and Iron Man all looking very horrified on the cover.
He kills the Marvel Universe.
And so Deadpool is standing there with his sword and the Hulk's head in his hand. So there you go. Yeah. Definitely go check it out. It was a fun, guilty pleasure book. I enjoyed it. It almost makes me want to start reading Deadpool comics, but I probably won't because I got too many other things to do. I barely have time to read our review books every week. That pretty much wraps up everything in terms of our reviews, our talk on the New 52. We've got more New 52 coming in the weeks to come. We've got a couple of special guests coming in September from another show of the good old US of A. They're going to join us, and we're going to talk about the Zeros.
New York City.
New York City, yes. So what do we got coming out on the shelves this week?
Okay, well, like I said before, it is a 5 Wednesday shipping month, so things are a little thin next week. It's a pretty small week for us. For you Adventure Time fans, second issue of the Scream Queen miniseries is coming out. Let's see here. Archer and Armstrong from Valiant Comics will be making its debut next week, so looking forward to that. Let's see here. Batman number 12 by Scott Snyder, which has been just an amazing read from get-go. Before the Watchmen, number 2 of the Ozymandias miniseries will be out, with art by Jay Lee.
Okay.
Captain America 16, Captain America and Iron Man 635, Creep 0 from Dark Horse, Daredevil Annual by Alan Davis, number 1, and of course we just mentioned Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe number 2, so that'll be out next week. Let's see here. Ferris number 6. Godzilla Half-Century War number 1.
Godzilla.
The Grendel omnibus from Dark Horse makes its debut, so they're getting the omnibus of the Hunter Rose material out there, so I'm very much looking forward to that, being a huge Grendel fan. Kiss number 3, Grifter number 12, Incredible Hulk number 12, It Girl and the Atomics spinning out a Madman over at Image Comics. A book we reviewed, The Massive number 3, will be out next week, and we love that book.
Yes. I still haven't read number 2.
Yeah, neither have I. New Avengers number 29. We love the book, but we haven't caught up with it yet.
Maybe we can catch up with it. Who knows?
Prototype 2 hardcover. I think that one's based off the video game.
Okay.
For you manga fans, Sailor Moon number 6.
Wee.
SpongeBob number 11. Stephen King, Joe Hill's Road Rage hardcover will be out next week.
Okay.
And the Vampirella Annual number 2. And those are kind of the highlights. We got Wolverine 311, continuing off Jeff Loeb's storyline, and X-Men Legacy 271.
Very cool. So there we go. That pretty much wraps up our show. And look at that. We are on time.
Run the teaser.
You
wanted to anyway.
I did. And I'm going to run the teaser.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
So that's a new show coming to the Naked Ape Productions Network sometime in September. We're still working out a date for that. And that is a movie discussion program where we're not going to review the movies. We're going to talk about them honestly.
Yes, we're going to talk about them honestly. It's like you do with a group of friends when you've just left a movie.
If you've got a movie you want us to review, or, discuss, then I said the review thing again. Why do I always say that?
I had a suggestion from a friend who wanted us to do the old movie House.
Oh, I've got that actually.
Oh yeah,
I do. Yeah. I've got it up on DVD upstairs. So
I'm like that's a possibility.
That's a possibility. Yeah, that's with Richard Mull is in that one.
Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can look at that. But if you have any suggestions for movies you want us to discuss, whether we like them or we don't, we're going to be looking at one that's in theaters, one that's currently on DVD, File 13, and hopefully, crossing our fingers, maybe a Netflix pick of the week. So we'll be looking at that, and as that show finally gets all the little bows tied up, we'll bring that show to you. Also, check out a brand new website coming to the nakedapeproductions.com or nakedapeprod.com. Brand new website will be appearing very soon. I know we kind of been teasing that we were going to do it this week, but there's still a few things I have to work out. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to launch it on the 25th episode.
Okay.
And that gives us our first real milestone. We're 25% of the way there.
Yeah.
What is your 25th anniversary? Isn't that paper?
I think that's like the first year.
First year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Who knows?
It's not like it's 25 years anyway.
Yeah, no, we're not 25 years into the show. I don't know. Do you think we could do the show for 25 years?
I don't know if you'll make it, but I'll be here.
You'll have a younger, more handsome co-host. One that has all his teeth. So, Sonny, I don't get these funny books anymore. But anyway, that pretty much concludes our show. We're right on time this week.
Why don't you tell people how to get hold of us?
Yes, you can find us on the web. See, right there, nakedapeprod.com/between the pages. You can come see us over there. If you want to watch our back shows, if you missed the show live, you can always catch it on our website or on YouTube a day or two after the show airs live. You can find us on Facebook. Remember, there is a U in productions.
Because he didn't.
I'm from northern Manitoba. We can't spell. You can find us on Facebook. Come on over, like us. Over on Facebook right now, we're really pushing for the like. Because once we reach 100 likes, we are going to launch a brand new contest, and we've been telling you about this for weeks. It is all of the free Comic Book Day books, which are over 25 books, along with a much sought-after hardcover mouse guard. And with all that, we're going to give you a nice canvas bag that says Free Comic Book Day on it. And that bag you can use at any of the conventions you're going to, that kind of stuff. So come back, check us out for that. What else we got happening? Oh, wow. I just zoomed right in. You can find us on the Twitter. If you want to send us a tweet, if you want to talk about us in a bad way, just go to Twitter. We don't mind that. If you want to reach us by email, it is betweenthepages@nakedapeprod.com. Please send us an email. We enjoy that. And if you so choose not to drink your Tim Hortons or your Starbucks or your other very fancy $10 coffee, and you want to give that money away to somebody, we'll take it. We have a donate button on the website. You can just press that and donate whatever you like, because it does take money to do the show each and every week. Although I don't get paid, neither do you. We do this for the fun, but there are operational costs, internet, that kind of stuff. So we would appreciate if you'd drop by and drop us a couple bucks. If you don't want to do that, there's always ads there from Google. Just click on one. We get a couple cents from that too. So that's it. That's all for another week. We will see you
between the pages.
Mm.